I think we can all agree on the point that football content on YouTube, Instagram, especially TikTok, has got fairly polarising, very clickbaity in recent years, just with the influx of different podcasts, different people talking stuff on the internet, because obviously some people have very bad takes, some people deliberately have bad takes, some people do it for clickbait, because let's be honest, the algorithm pushes stuff that is just ridiculous instead of sensible football conversation. There's been a big rise in football podcasts like Pitchside, things like that, where some opinions on there are absolutely balmy. There's no point even having sensible conversation anymore sometimes, it seems. But yeah, it gets slightly frustrating trying to listen to some things, and then it's just one moment, if you're winning, it's the best thing in the world. 1 minute you lose, then it's the end of the world. I'm an Arsenal fan, I experience this every day. AFTV seem to fluctuate about all over the shop. Arteta in, Arteta out. It does get a bit chaotic, but today we are reacting to some clips from Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. I think Mark Goldbridge is definitely Marmite when it comes to content creation. You either love him or you hate him. He's pioneered the fan channel space, the biggest guy on the platform in regards to fan content. So he has really pioneered that and made way for a lot of other channels, like the Football Terrace and things like that, for example. So he's big in the space. A lot of people respect him. Some people think he's a moron. I sit very much in the middle. I think he's all right. Some things he says I agree with, some things I disagree with. And a couple of clips today I wanted to take a look at, and they came off my Instagram Reels, because I don't use TikTok. I'm not one of those guys. I use Instagram Reels. I watched TikToks from about 2 weeks ago over on there. But two videos caught my eye and my ears, in fact, and I just wanted to go over them today and get your guys' thoughts, get my opinions on them, because some of them are pretty crazy. But yeah, let's get into the first clip. This is him talking about Arsenal and how Chelsea and Man United have better squads than them. Check it out.
Than Arsenal.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And Man United have got a better squad than Arsenal. Look, Arsenal are performing better, but when you look at the squad, the wages, I would imagine
front line.
And look, Jesus is a fucking waste of time. Martinelli hasn't delivered.
Sterling.
They don't. Sterling's been a waste of time. I mean, you could put those decisions down to Arteta, but I think people put Arsenal into the category of Man City,
yeah.
And I just think it's not a surprise to me that Arsenal might finish third or fourth this year. Why is it some Arsenal fans?
And as you can see in that clip, there's a lot of things that are said. So I started the clip off, but just before the clip starts, they're talking about how Chelsea probably have a better overall squad than Arsenal. And I think there's probably a genuine debate about that. I think Chelsea is a lot more top-heavy than Arsenal. I think backline-wise, Arsenal are a lot better than Chelsea. Middle of the pack, it's a mixed bag, and then probably Chelsea have more forward depth than Arsenal. I can't even argue that point. Look how many goals they're scoring, at the consistency. Jackson has just turned into one of the best strikers in the league, probably not out of nowhere, because he was progressing quite well last season. But I think there is a genuine debate about Arsenal and Chelsea at the moment. Chelsea are in front of Arsenal in the Premier League table. They've been more consistent. They've been on the rise. Chelsea very much remind me of Arsenal in that first season. They went for the title, just all gung-ho football. No one's worked them out yet, really, since they've started playing really well. But that's not really what I want to focus on. Mark says at the start of the clip I just showed you that Man United have a better squad than Arsenal. He's not saying starting 11, obviously, but the fact that he's saying the team in 13th position have a better squad than the team in 3rd, mind-blowing. Can someone tell me what the rationale is behind this? Obviously, it explains that Arsenal are pretty much punching above their weight at the moment, but to say that United have a better squad than Arsenal is absolutely balmy to me. They literally came to the Emirates and had the least amount of touches in an opposition box that any opponents had at the Emirates, and I think in any game in general, which tells you a lot. They've got a new system implemented now. A lot of their squad, a lot of United fans are complaining, saying none of them are good enough. They've got Anthony, who's the biggest waste of 80 million in the world. Rashford's kicking off, he's about to leave. It's just the maddest statement I've ever heard in my life. And if United were better than Arsenal, why is the table looking like that? And I think just to get the grasp on this comment, I'm going to do my own Man United and Arsenal combined 11. And in goal, we've got David Raya. I think there is an argument for this. Onana's been really good. But is it just a purple patch recently? He's just been off the boil completely, made a few mistakes. So I would stick with David Raya. He's way more consistent and won the Golden Glove last year. So right back, I'm going Ben White. I'm doing this on purely everyone's fit. Mazraoui is close, but I think Ben White, when he's at full fitness, is the best right back in the league. There is a debate there, but for me, Ben White is better. Centre-backs, I don't think there's any argument at all. Gabriel and Saliba, the best centre-back partnership in the league. I think last season showed that. This season, Arsenal have been more sloppy at the back. They haven't really lost anything. We've only lost about 2 games, but there's been injuries and disruption to that back line. Most of the time, Arsenal's lost or dropped points. He's been playing Kivior in there when either Saliba or Gabriel are out. Both of them together are far better than anything Man United have. And I think Martinez is probably the most overrated centre-back in the league. I don't rate him at all. I don't like him. De Ligt's decent, but I still don't think he's better than either of our centre-backs. Johnny Evans should retire, let's be honest. At left-back, Luke Shaw, I said full fitness, but I'm going Timber. He's probably been one of our best performers this season. He makes a huge difference, especially when you look at that Liverpool game. As soon as he came off, we had Zinchenko down the left-hand side, Lewis Skelly on. Lewis Skelly's good, but Timber just been a fantastic signing when he's been fit. I think he's outstanding and has been really good this season. Onto the midfield, and obviously the first person that gets in the squad is Martin Odegaard. Best playmaker in the league, in my opinion, since De Bruyne's drop off this season. I think without him, it's so night and day, and you saw that in the League Cup game this week. As soon as he came on, absolutely controlled the game. We were so lost without him. He's the biggest chance creator in the league, despite being out for nearly 3 months. That tells you all you need to know. So he's better than Bruno. So Bruno's not getting in his combined 11 because he plays the same position. I'm sticking to that. He plays the same position as Odegaard. He's better. Second player in there is Declan Rice. Is far better than any holding midfielder. He's better than Casemiro. Slower than coastal erosion, that man. He's better than Ugarte. He hasn't looked good. He's looked out of his depth since he come in the league. He's obviously new, so I'll give him some time. And then Man United player. We're going to stick Mainu in there. I think he's the best box-to-box midfielder out both squads. I think he's better than Moreno. Moreno's been hot and cold. Definitely, he's better than Jorginho. So Arsenal would obviously start Mainu, and when Mainu's on form, he's amazing. Obviously, man of the match performance in an FA Cup final against Rodri, so I'll stick Mainu in there. Left wing, I'm going Marcus Rashford. I made a TikTok recently. I think Marcus Rashford would start for Arsenal. I think Martinelli's definitely out of form. I think defensively, his numbers are excellent, Martinelli. It's frustrating to watch him. He's just not taking his man on. So I think Rashford is better than him in an attacking sense. The only thing, if you bring Rashford into this Arsenal 11, he doesn't have that defensive presence. He doesn't push. He's not a presser, the same as Martinelli. But going forward, I still think Marcus Rashford in his prime, when he's on form, when he's happy, is world class. A couple of seasons ago, he's got over 30 GA. I think he does start for Arsenal. Up front, I'm going Kai Havertz. I don't think Xerxes or Højlund has really hit the mark since they've signed for Man United. I think a lot of Man United fans are getting frustrated with both of them. Man United fans are calling for Gyökeres to come in. Obviously, Kai Havertz had over 20 GA last season. He had a really good start to the season. He's been a bit off form, but he's just not had the service like he had before. So I'm still going Kai Havertz up front. I think he's still more reliable. I still think Jesus is better than Højlund and Xerxes. So even if you don't have Havertz, you have Jesus. And then final position is obviously Saka. He's the best right winger in world football apart from Mo Salah. He has 50% goal contributions to Arsenal at this point in the season, so undoubtedly Saka. But yeah, that's my combined 11. Obviously, on the bench, you're going to have the likes of Bruno Fernandes on there, Ugarte. I still think Thomas Partey. Actually, Thomas Partey is probably better than Ugarte. I'd put Højlund on the. I wouldn't even put Højlund on the bench. I'd put Gabby Jesus on the bench. De Ligt probably makes the bench. Onana as a bench, but overall Arsenal squad is far better. I don't know what Mark Royalbridge is smoking when he made that comment. He himself, if you watch him, is frustrated with the United squad. He doesn't think many members of the United squad are good enough for this system that Elmer wants to play. So the fact that he thinks United have a better squad than Arsenal, I'm not saying he said they have a better lineup, but he said a better squad, and I think that's just an outrageous thing to say. The second clip I wanted to take a look at is, to me, it seems like he's trying to compliment Arsenal, but in a way it kind of goes off as a bit patronising. But he's very much underplaying Arsenal and the performance last season. Take a look at this clip.
Are Arsenal where they should be, or are Arsenal underachieving? And I think Arsenal are where they should be. They sort of came from nowhere. They're not Man City with the financial clout. They're not Liverpool with a bunch of players that have won titles before being inherited by a new manager like Slot. They're neither of those things. and yet they're expected to be that. I think the title races were incredible, but way ahead of schedule. Arsenal have got to win a trophy this year. I think they do need to win a trophy this year, but it can't be a Premier League, it can't be a Champions League. I think they do need to try and win an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup just to take something, you know, physical from the last few years. But if they don't, I don't think it's get out Arteta. They are a prime example of what happens when success comes too soon and people hold you to that standard. I think Arsenal are probably the third best team in England when I take everything into account. And yet for the last 2 years, they've been the second best team in England, and very nearly last year, the best. That's what Arsenal have been doing. I think Liverpool and Chelsea coming through has, you know, caused an issue because you like Man City drop off, but Man City have dropped off. Why can't Arsenal drop off a bit? It was a very intense season last season.
So as you can see in the clip, he talks about how he thinks Arsenal are exactly where they're supposed to be, basically, and for the last 2 seasons, we've been vastly overperforming where we are, and we're just getting back to, obviously, going back to the norm. I think the fact that 2 seasons in a row, we were excellent. Last season, we were overall the best team in the league when it comes to, obviously, not points, but we scored the most goals, had the best defence, had the highest amount of possession. We couldn't have done anything better last season. So the fact that he's saying this season is our norm, and that he's saying we're not on the par of Liverpool or City is, I think, is slightly patronising. I think the way he's saying it is he's trying to be nice to Arsenal in a way by saying they're not underperforming, they're not being that bad. But Arsenal were the best team in the league last season. I think the reason Arsenal fans have such high expectations is because we only just lost out in the league by about 2 points last season. Literally one result change in that season, we won the league. So I don't think Arsenal's fans' expectations should be any lower. We should be going for the league. I don't think finishing top 4 is good enough. And he's saying how we haven't spent a lot of money. We don't have the same amount of funds as the other teams. We've outspent Liverpool. We have one of the highest wage bills in the league. We are a big club, a big history. I think the fact he's talking like we're Tottenham Hotspur is the bit that gets me. I could see where he's coming from, where we were finishing 8th, top 4, and we suddenly went up a gear. But he's saying Chelsea are now back, but Chelsea are doing the exact same as what we were doing. So yeah, it just seems like an absolute overreaction. I think Arsenal fans are justified to being annoyed. Not when it's getting to the point where a lot of Arsenal fans are saying Arteta out. I think that's going completely over the top. It's way too reactionary at this point. But to say Arsenal are hitting where they're ceiling, I think's a bit much. We have world-class centre-back, we have world-class midfielder, world-class forward. We should be fighting for this league title. We've been unlucky in a couple of games. Obviously, we had VAR decisions go against us in a few games, but to say that Arsenal are hitting their peak, I think, is a bit of an overreaction. I don't know where he's coming from with this. We definitely should be going for the league title, and I think we're one of the favourites to the Champions League. He says we shouldn't be going for the Champions League. We should be focusing on FA Cup. But the thing is, it's like when we were crap, we were winning FA Cups. The FA Cup shouldn't be the bar. I would be happy this season with finishing with a couple of trophies and FA Cup. I expect really from this point to win the League Cup. But even when you go head to head, we haven't lost against the top 6 sides in God know how long. We didn't lose against any of them last season. So far this season, we haven't lost a game to a top 6 side. We've only lost 2 games all season. It's the draws that have been killing us. It's the discipline in that midfield with the red cards that were our problem. We have a lot of injury problems this season. It's not even the first time we played Moreno, Rice and Ødegaard in a game, which is probably our starting midfield once this season. So, yeah, I think there's more to come from Arsenal. I don't think this is our peak. We should be expected. We're a massive club. Arsenal are a massive club. 3 Premier League titles we've won. We should be adding to that. I don't think Mark is right on this at all. I think it's slightly patronising to say he's talking to us like we're bloody Brighton, to be honest with you. We're better than Man United, far better than... We're the second best team in the league, I think. We're still better than Chelsea, I'd say. I still think Chelsea can have a bit of a drop-off. I think Liverpool, as you've seen now, are starting to falter a little bit, so just got to capitalise on it. And I still think Arsenal will win the league from here. Let me know down in the comments what your opinion is on this. Is Mark right? Am I right? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you once again for watching today's video. I'll see you in the next one. TGFN. Peace out.